Gonna get started with a small group. All right, back to adjectives. Y'all may be tired of adjectives, and it's okay. It's okay. So it's not difficult to come up with some ways to throw some adjectives in there, some adjective phrases, some adjective clauses. That's not a difficult thing. But it can get a little bit muddy, or it can get a little bit hairy when we get to a few different areas, and so that's what I'm going to talk about. 3 different questions that are often asked about using adjective clauses and adjective phrases. 1, do you use who or whom? Who or whom? There's one. Who or whom? Okay? That's one thing we're going to talk about. I'm not going to write all these on the board. With commas or without commas? When do you put the commas in there? That's another one we're going to talk about. And do I use which or that? Or to leave it out altogether? Okay, so first I'm going to do who or whom. These are relative pronouns. They start relative clauses, adjective clauses. Welcome, buddy. Most people don't think about this too often, and if you're just talking about how we speak, we often disregard this altogether. It really comes into play more when you're writing, and sometimes people ignore it even then. Who, I am going to put this on the board. Who is subjective. Subjective. Who is subjective? Whom is objective? Okay. So when you are writing, if the pronoun is referencing something, if you could replace the pronoun with he or she or they, then who is the one that you need to use, because it's a subjective pronoun. It's a subjective relative pronoun. If it's something that you could replace with him or her or them, then you're looking at whom, because this is objective, and the objective pronoun matches the objective relative pronoun. Okay, I know that's a lot of, sometimes feels unnecessary stuff, but as you get into more formal writing, and that's where we're going into research papers, and so it needs to be more formal and less conversational, then we're going to see if we can apply this rule. We're going to see if we can stick to this rule. Okay, so good morning. You don't want to sound stuffy or snobby or anything like that, and that's why a lot of people don't pay attention to this in their speech, because you don't want to come off as hoity-toity. You don't want to come off as stuffy. But when you're writing, you need to sound like you've had a little bit of education. You need to know the rules anyway, whether or not you abide by them in speech. Okay, but in your writing, who and whom, one is subjective, one is objective. Look at the sentences that I gave you. Most of the time when you're talking about people, you're going to say who or whom. And when it's a thing, you're going to say that. Okay? Sometimes we throw that rule out too. But look at the examples that I gave you here. She had a small group of friends, other 8th graders, whom she stayed with. Okay? Whom she stayed with. Well, who was it that she stayed with? She stayed with, okay, but somebody said it. Them. She stayed with them, right? Them is objective. Yeah, objective. So whom is actually the more formal. It's what follows the rule there. If you go to the next sentence, she had a small group of friends, other 8th grade girls who she stayed with. That's much more conversational. It doesn't follow the grammatical rule, and we don't care. That's the way we speak. We don't pay attention to that sometimes. It doesn't really make it into our conversation. That rule doesn't carry over into our speech most of the time. So that's very informal. She had a small group of friends, other 8th grade girls that she stayed with. This one actually breaks the rule, and we do it all the time, because this writer is using that, talking about people, which is usually a no-no, but we do it. We do it. And the last one, she had a small group of friends, other eighth grade girls she stayed with. The relative pronoun is completely left out there. Jessica, you're in charge of those now.
Oh, okay. There you go.
You can pass those out since you're taking the seat. You can pass them out to whoever comes. All right. So the relative pronoun, who is subjective, whom is objective, that is not usually used for people, but sometimes we ignore the rule. And occasionally the relative pronoun is left out altogether. Okay? Welcome. The next thing, hello. Restrictive and non-restrictive clauses. We have, I don't think we've talked about it this year, have we? Restrictive and non-restrictive. Welcome, everyone. Restrictive and non-restrictive. Okay. These are big words and sometimes seem useless to us. We don't really want to talk about these. We don't really want to know what these mean. But restrictive means that you are restricting the meaning to the one person or the one thing in the entire world that you're pointing to. And if you take this clause out, then you have removed that identification. Okay? So, let's see. Go to the next set of sentences about the professor. You see it? The professor who developed UC Berkeley's seminar in first and second language acquisition retired in 2004. Okay? Where's the relative clause there?
Who developed the UC Berkeley seminar and versions and
Yeah, it's a long one. Between the professor and the verb retired, all of that is an adjective clause. All of that is a relative pronoun clause. All right. If you take that out and you say the professor retired in 2004, do you know exactly which professor in the entire world we're talking about? No. But if you leave that in there and you say the professor who developed UC Berkeley's seminar in first and second language acquisition, that relative clause points you to exactly the right person because that's the only person in the world who did that, right? If you take that out, you change the meaning of the sentence. You have just removed the identifier. That is a restrictive clause because it's restricting the meaning to the one person in the world who has done this. Does that make sense? Okay, look at the second sentence. Lily Wong Fillmore, who developed UC Berkeley's seminar in first and second language acquisition, retired in 2004. Okay, now you still have the same relative clause. You still have the same relative clause, but it's set off in commas. Why is it set off in commas? Do you know? You don't have to have it. This is non-restrictive because it is adding extra information that you don't necessarily need. You don't have to have this relative clause to tell exactly the right person that you're talking about. Why? Because it names her. There's only one Lily Wong Fillmore. There's only one. So once you have named that person, you've identified that specific person above all others anywhere at any time, anywhere in the world. Once you have identified that person, you don't have to have the extra identifier. It's just extra information. It is simply adding to the information. Does that make sense? You're adding information, but it's not totally necessary to identify the person. So you set it off with commas because it is non-restrictive. And non-restrictive means it's not absolutely necessary to identify the person. Restrictive, you have to have it in there to identify the person because if you remove it, you have removed the identifier. Yes? Okay. Let's skip down to the sentences about my nephews. See that? My nephews from Wisconsin had trouble adjusting to Southern food. All right. Now I will say that when you're in speech, when you have a non-restrictive or a restrictive clause, you're going to hear it in the tone. In speech, you just hear it in the tone of the voice. So I'm going to read these differently. I'm going to say, my nephews from Wisconsin had trouble adjusting to Southern food. Listen to the next one. My nephews from Wisconsin had trouble adjusting to Southern food. Do you hear the difference? There's a difference in my tone because in speech, you can tell by listening when somebody is setting something off with commas. You can hear it. But here, when I say my nephews from Wisconsin had trouble adjusting to Southern food, what I'm saying is that I have other nephews. I might have a lot of nephews, but I have to leave that from Wisconsin in there. I have to leave that identifier in there because if I take it out, I'm changing the meaning. That little phrase, that prepositional phrase from Wisconsin, I'm using that with no commas. I'm making it restrictive. I'm making it restrictive with no commas because I'm telling you this is important information. You have to have it in there as an identifier. The next sentence, my nephews from Wisconsin, that's in commas, had trouble adjusting to Southern food. The reason that that is in commas is because it's extra information. And what I'm saying in this sentence is these are the only nephews I have. These are the only nephews I have, and I'm adding this information to tell you a little bit more about. I'm telling you where they're from, but it's not absolutely necessary because they're the only ones I have. Welcome. Glad you made it.
I appreciate that.
Glad you're here. Okay. Any questions about that?
I drove here.
Good.
I would have been earlier, but I went to speed limit. I apologize.
I'm happy for you to be here at the speed limit. Okay. Y'all want to talk any more about that or move on?
See, this is why I showed up late, because I don't have to learn our grammar.
I'm going to send you the video.
You probably should have known yourself.
Going to send you the video.
That would be good. What's restrictive and non-restrictive?
Okay, next. Which or that?
There's no-
All right, so good morning. Who or whom, we sometimes ignore this. And if anything is going to fall out of our language, if the rules are going to disappear, it's probably going to be that one. It's going to be the distinction between who and whom because we ignore it in speech and we sometimes follow it in writing. But when you get to that or which, it's not one that we typically ignore. We usually stick with that one in speech and in writing. So when you are using that, it's typically not something that's going to be set off with commas because it is restrictive. When you're starting a clause with the word that, it's something that has to be there as an identifier. But if you start a clause with which, it's probably extra information and you're going to set it off with commas. That's usually the way it works. Okay, so I'm gonna give you some examples. Look at the sentences that start with the song sounds. The song sounds. All right, this is going back to, I'm using some sentences from the essay that I told you guys about the people with perfect pitch. Do y'all remember that? Yeah, okay. The first one, the song sounds correct to him only in the key that he originally heard it. All right, it doesn't name the key. You don't know what key that is, but it's the one that he originally heard it. You have to have that phrase in there because it's identifying. There's a certain key that he originally heard it. You have to have that in there because it's identifying it. Okay. The next one, the song sounds correct to him only in the key of C sharp minor in which he originally heard it. That's extra information because the key has already been named. You see it? You've already identified the key, so the next clause is added information. It is non-restrictive. All right. Next. I'm not going to keep going with that one. Sometimes the relative pronoun is omitted. I don't think I want to go over that. I think I'm going to let y'all have that one. I do want to go down to in this engaging essay. You see those sentences in this engaging essay? Is it on the next page for you? Occasionally, writers or English teachers or editors of some flavor, we'll want to say, make this concise, shrink it where you can. And a way that you can do that is to take out the subject verb pair in the clause, in the adjective clause. And so in this engaging essay, the writer, who is best known for her novel, and I'm not going to keep going with that, but the next one down, I'm taking out who and is. So that adjective clause, that relative clause, I'm taking out it's a pronoun. It's the subject of that clause. It's who. It's a relative pronoun. I'm taking out who and is. I'm just removing that, but I'm not changing the meaning of what's being said there. Okay. In this engaging essay, the writer, known for her novel, and I'm not going to keep going with that, but all I'm doing is taking out the subject and verb, the pronoun and the verb of that clause. Not changing the meaning of it, I'm just shrinking it down. Yes? Y'all are all a little bit out of that. All right, that's as far as I'm going to go with that. I'm not going to do any more of that stuff. There's more there. I'm just going to skip it because I need to. All right. We are done with essays. We're done with essays. And moving into a research paper. Moving into a research paper. You're nervous? You shouldn't be. You shouldn't be. You've done this. How many times have you done this?
Sorry. I didn't realize they were having a conversation. I was listening to my thoughts, and then I had to talk, and it was really good conversation.
Go ahead.
Did you cut your hair?
No, it just grew backwards.
Oh, okay. It looks different.
A different style, maybe a little different shape.
It doesn't look
Yeah,
the
yeah,
same as
yes,
the last time I saw you.
A little different shape.
Maybe it got lost. It's hiding.
No, I definitely.
I don't know.
I mean, I figured.
All right.
It grew
Okay.
backwards, so.
Let's see. How do I want to do this?
No, I've been waiting on somebody to ask me that. You know, I've been waiting on.
You had a
somebody to ask me
response
that.
ready, didn't you?
Yes, yes, I
You've
did.
been thinking about
I
that
was
one.
like, you know, I bet on like Monday when I got it, 'cause I was like, somebody's going to ask me, did you get your hair? Oh, did you get your hair? I'm like, I'm just gonna say it very well.
Oh, well, you nailed it.
Yeah.
Yep, got it.
Good job.
Okay,
He's been practicing that one.
been practicing.
Because you're the first person to ask me, so.
Planning
Oh,
it out.
that's so depressing.
No, it's not. It's not. It's just.
Get more
Nobody
observant.
cares.
Did you get your haircut? You need more
No, it's
observant
not that
friends.
big a deal. Nobody really cares. It's okay. Like,
Well, I like your haircut. It looks very nice.
thank you. I appreciate that.
No problem. Okay, you can teach now.
I
Okay, y'all ready? As long as we're all getting along here. That's great. That's great. Everybody's got haircuts. All right. This week, hopefully you have already decided on a topic, and if you have not, that needs to be done this week. Most of you turned in possible topics to me.
Stephen King. Sorry.
Is that on the assignment sheet?
Yeah.
A quote? Yeah.
Love that guy.
I know you do. Stephen King? He's a writer.
You read Stephen King?
Yes, he's a writer.
You like horror books?
Yeah.
We'll talk about
I
that.
actually have not read any of Stephen King's novels.
You ought to.
I've not
Start with
read
The
some of
Shining.
his.
The Shining's really good.
I don't have time to do that right now.
Carrie, I read in an afternoon.
Okay. He's an author. I have read some of his ideas about writing. I have read some of his advice, but I have not read any of his novels. And that's not the top of my list right now. It's just not. It's not on my nightstand or
They're good
anything.
for nothing, honestly, but
No.
they're entertaining.
I don't get horror books. Like, how am I gonna get scared?
Oh,
by a book?
you will.
Like,
Have you read one?
no.
There's your
But-
book.
recommendations.
Okay.
There's your
Okay.
book.
Let's not talk about any more horror books right now. You should have, if you haven't nailed down your topic yet, you should at least have some ideas, right? And those of you who turned in some possibilities to me, I will respond to you as soon as I can. Oh, I do have
You did say that like we're not doing ratings anymore from here on out.
Not doing ratings
Okay.
anymore. Coleman, y'all reach your hand out when I call your name.
I'm just saying our
Sarah
ratings
Catherine.
went out with a bang this week.
Yes.
Just gonna throw that
Jessica.
out there.
Where's Jana? Take this for Jana. Kristen. Lena.
She said that more. I
Mike
said
is not
no.
here. Mary.
No.
I saw it reading about clothes.
What did that say? What?
She didn't write it on my shirts with no sleeves.
Really disappointing. Miss Shauna, why are you ignoring Sarah Catherine's shirts with no sleeves?
Yeah.
That's very hurtful.
What are you talking about?
We're talking about toxic masculinity, and I said shirts with no sleeves.
Do you want to write about?
Shirts with no sleeves, the origins of them, where they come from, the
Okay.
status
How
symbol
they're
that were
related
today.
to
You
toxic.
want to do it just
Okay.
because she didn't give them
Yeah.
attention.
I'm for it. I mean, we already talked about Ricketts' possibility of writing an entire paper on how to draw stick figures with Ricketts.
Oh, interesting.
I mean, you can really get really in detail, like.
You could probably. There wouldn't be a lot of research other than your own personal experience. But
It's a research paper. Now, switching gears, we're talking about research papers. You should have a topic, or at least you should have narrowed down your possibilities to 2 or 3. I'll respond to you as soon as I can with what you sent to me. This week, you need to have figured out your topic. You need to have an outline. You need to have created an outline. You need to have a title, and you need to have found some sources. Okay? For this research paper, you need to have at least 3 sources. One of those must be a paper book. One of them must be an actual book you can hold in. They can all 3 be a book. I don't care. You can use stuff that you can use articles from the internet. You can use podcasts. You can use interviews. You can email a radio station and ask for a transcript of something that they did. You can use any of those kinds of things. You must have at least 1 book. You can find it at your own house on the shelf, or you can go to the library. People, yes.
Where am I about to find a book on Ricketts?
That's not up to me.
Ever.
That is not up to me.
A medical journal.
A medical journal.
Wait, we learned about Ricketts in anatomy.
Yes,
I can
we
just
did.
go find the anatomy book.
You can do it. Okay, look.
That's what started it.
Go to the library. If you need to go to a very big library, go to the one in Birmingham. Go to Jefferson County Library. If you don't live there, they may not let you check anything out, but you can sit in the library and look things up. And there are people who work in that library who know how to help you. Some of those people went to school and actually got a degree that says, I'm a librarian. They got a degree in
I kind of thought
Library
about doing that,
science.
but you don't make any money.
It's for the love of the library, I guess. I don't know.
But I don't want to eat ramen noodles under a park bench all my life.
I don't think that will happen. I don't think that's the case. I know people who have gone to school to be a certain kind of librarian, and they love it. They love what they're doing. Huh? Are they destitute? No.
Okay, that's good.
No.
Good for them.
All right. Find some books. 3 sources. At least 3 sources. One of those must be a book. Other than that, you kind of have free reign about
And
what
it
you.
can be Wikipedia.
No.
I love Wikipedia.
No. Wikipedia.
Wikipedia has the answer for all my questions.
Wait, say it again.
Have you heard about the thing about those college students who like made an entire article about this guy who invented this? I think it was a toaster or something that he invented, and like everybody thought used Wikipedia to cite their source and thought that it was
They
like
just
an
made it
actual
up.
historical person, and it was just a completely made up thing.
One time, a professor told all the students not to use Wikipedia and then got on there and changed Hitler and Stalin's Wikipedia page to say that they had a secret love situation and they were gay for each other. And then all of his students turned in essays about their secret love triangle. And he's like, y'all use Wikipedia, and I know it because I did that.
Anybody can put things on Wikipedia. Anybody can. Okay, so this is going to lead right into something that I did want to talk about.
If you did or didn't.
I did.
Well, you're welcome.
Thank you.
I thought she was about to write Ethan's name on the board.
What is he gonna teach you?
No, I'm not really. No.
There's not many words that start with ETH.
Okay. Most of y'all have seen this before
That's ethereal.
because you've been in my classes before and I talked about this. Ethos, logos, pathos. All right, this is something that Aristotle talked about. Wasn't it Aristotle?
Yeah.
Talked about the art of persuasion. Okay. Ethos just means, do you have the credibility to say what you're saying? Do you have the experience? Do you have the knowledge? Have you done the work? Have you put in the time to be able to say confidently and with authority what you're actually saying? That's ethos. So, and you see this all the time in commercials. If you see somebody skincare or something like that, some dermatologist, all the dermatologists agree, when you see this commercial, what does this person look like?
Nice skin. They have supple skin.
Nice skin, but not only that, it's somebody wearing a white coat.
Oh,
It's a dermatologist, somebody posing as a dermatologist. That white coat is giving them some kind of authority to say what they're saying. And it's just a commercial, so it's probably just somebody who, came into the studio and they handed him a coat and said, put this on. This is not really a dermatologist most of the time. But that is the ethos they're looking for. If they're trying to sell you something, some kind of toothpaste. If they're trying to sell you toilet paper, they're going to use a bear who is used to leaves in the woods. What is that toilet paper company? Charmin. And and the bear is so much happier with this particular toilet paper.
This commercials make me so uncomfortable. Especially when they start wiggling.
It's a little weird. It's a little weird. Okay, that's ethos. Do you have the credibility? Do you have the authority? Have you done the work to have this position to be able to say what you're saying? That's ethos. Okay. Wikipedia is not the place where you find that. Wikipedia is not where you find somebody who has the ethos to say what they're saying, because it might be Ethan. It might be Ethan sitting at his computer at home telling you that all dermatologists agree about something when he doesn't know. He doesn't know. He's making it up. He's making the whole thing up.
I think I read on Wikipedia how to try to do that. But I think you might have to have it for a long time to do it. So, but I made it like a year ago. So I think
Just I'm a log back in, buddy.
Let us know how that turns out. If you can create, some. All right. Wikipedia is not the place to find a good reputable source. All right. Don't go there.
Well, I go to Wikipedia, and then whenever there's like accredited links, I go to the links that it gives for whatever.
Yes.
So it has good information. It just might not.
But your source is the other link.
Yes, you have to go to the sources that it's providing you with. You can't just take the Wikipedia page.
Right. Okay. I mean, I agree with that. I don't have a problem with that. Just find a reputable source. Find the website that actually backs up what it's talking about. And Wikipedia doesn't always do that. Often does not do that. Okay. Reputable sources. What else was I going to say? Oh, I'm going to keep going with this. What?
You'd be like, ChatGPT, teach me about this, and then use ChatGPT.
ChatGPT is also unreliable.
What?
But you can look at ChatGPT and then also look at the sources that it gives you.
You can do that.
I tried to use ChatGPT yesterday for my omnibus, and it did not give me the right answers. Like, I was like, hey, can you show me the right order of events for this book? And they gave me an order of events with the chapters listed, but it was like chapter 20 came first and chapter 3 came afterwards, and don't use ChatGPT.
You know how many times
It was
that
Taylor
got
City.
bad grades and I just stopped trying with that. I gave up on that a while ago.
Guys,
I'm using Quizlet because
I was about to
kinda
say,
gave
guys,
up
I
on
hate to break it to you, but Quizlet has all of the omnibus.
I know, that's what I'm using.
Not all of them. I've looked for some that just don't have.
Look, all of us are trauma bonding right now. We got
We
are.
I will say there's
Okay.
nothing more fun than asking like ChatGPT deep moral questions just to see what it says.
It
I
kind of
agree
cooks
with that.
sometimes, though. It kind of cooks.
No, it messes it up like a bunch of stuff.
It does.
Okay. Ethos. ChatGPT is not where you should go for morality lessons.
I asked it, this is really deep more fun, but I asked it like, well, if it was Fabian when it took over the world, and they said, yeah, I'll do that. I'll Fabian when I take over the world. It gave me like an
I
answer
hope
like
that made you
an
feel
idiot
good,
already
Ethan.
thought of. Yeah. So I guess I'm just gonna be the last.
I hope that filled you with warm fuzzies and peace.
Ethan is the only good human here.
All right, we got to move on from this. We got to move on. Logos is the next thing. We're getting into a research paper. You're going to make some kind of argument. Yes, this is logic. This is the logical step by step. You're putting your reasons together. You're putting your papers together. You're making an argument for something. This is not necessarily an argumentative paper. It can be, but that's not necessarily what I'm after. And we're going to get into a little bit of that in just a minute. But logos is just the reasoning out of whatever it is that you're trying to say, the logical order and the reasoning through whatever question you're trying to answer or whatever opinion you have about something. Okay, that is logos. Pathos.
What's the emotion?
That's the emotion. That's the way you feel about a situation, the emotion of really anything. And so that's where we were with stories, because stories tend to pull on you. Stories tend to make you feel something. You feel for one of the characters. You agree with them. You sympathize with them, or you just hate them. You know, some characters you just really hate. Abby was just listening to, what was she listening to? Mansfield Park?
Yes.
And she hated some of those characters and loved other ones. And that's what a good story will have. A good story pulls on your emotions. It pulls on your feelings. And so when you're writing something, when you're giving a speech, when you're trying to convince somebody of anything that you're trying to say, you need to use ethos. You have to have some kind of credibility for what you're saying, or nobody listens to you. You need to use logos because you need to make sense. It has to make sense, or people don't listen to you. And you need to use pathos. You have to have the emotion of the story, because nobody changes for ethos or logos. Nobody makes any kind of belief switch. Nobody makes any kind of move if it doesn't have to do with pathos. And I've talked about this before, but in your life, in anybody's life, you don't move for logic. You don't move for logic. You move for pathos. You move for the emotion of the situation. Whatever an adult has going on in their lives, I've talked about this before, maybe not in this class. An adult whose parents went through bankruptcy when they were kids, an adult whose parents went through bankruptcy, that adult decides way early on, I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do this. I'm going to have my folders for this, my intake, my outtake, outgoing, all of these different systems in place for, I'm going to have this account for this and this account for this, and I'm going to keep track of all of these in different ways, and I'm going to invest this way, and I'm not going to do this. And this person has all of the reasons. They can logic through all of this. They can tell you why they're doing what they're doing, but the pathos is the root of it. The emotion of the story is what really drives them. And so people do all kinds of things in their lives that are not really related to ethos or logos. Not really. That's not what moves somebody. It's important to know why you're doing what you're doing. It's important to know why you believe what you believe, but it's the pathos that moves you. And most of the time, it's the pathos in our lives that has us believing whatever it is that we believe, and then we fit the logic to that. We fit our reasoning to match the pathos. We all do it. That's the way it works. Okay, I don't think I need to talk about that anymore. For your research, if you already have a full schedule, some of you do, if you already have a full schedule of work and school and baseball, basketball, whatever it is that you do, I don't know what all, you're always doing something. You're always doing something. Planting trees, maybe. You know, y'all all have things to do. I know that. Y'all all have busy schedules already. Do not expect the research for your paper to fit nicely in what you have already been doing. You need to put in some nighttime hours. You need to put in some Saturday hours. You need to find some time to read. Find some time to research. Maybe you don't want to do a lot of reading in the library. That's okay. Listen to some podcasts, listen to some interviews, listen to some audiobooks, find some sources that work with whatever you want to write about. Okay. This is not going to fit nicely into your school day the way other things have. You got to put some time. I told y'all at the beginning of the year that I was going to build in time and intensity. We started with poetry. That didn't take you a long time to read, right? It just didn't take you a long time to read. The stories took a little bit longer. The essays take a little bit longer. And now we're at the point where I am going to be sending you reading assignments still. But you're not doing the idiomatic expressions anymore. You're not doing vocabulary anymore. I don't think I told you all that, but some of you were expecting it. You're not doing those things. You're not doing the, what did I say? Idiomatic expressions. We're not doing those. We're not doing vocab. We're not doing ratings and responses anymore because you don't want to read each other's research papers. Yeah, we're just, so all of your homework is now due on Wednesdays. There may be some time later that I will need it on Tuesday just for the sake of finishing up, but I'll let you know in advance. The work is now due on Wednesdays, nothing on Tuesdays. Y'all can take a deep breath and be relieved of that. Okay. Let's do this next. Let's do this next. You got to build an outline. You need to create an outline for what you want to talk about. Somebody give me a broad subject. Broad.
Furniture.
Okay. Furniture. All right. We're going to do mind mapping. Where's Mary Taylor? Okay.
We have an art midterm and she's way more nervous about it than I am, I guess.
Okay.
She's staying home.
I just thought about her because whenever I put these mind maps on the board, she says, oh, I use those. Okay. Well, tell her that I missed her. Okay. No, I started to hand a paper to her earlier and I recognized it, but this just made me think of her again. Okay. Furniture. What do we know about furniture? What do we think about furniture? What comes to mind?
Living room.
Okay. Living room. What else? Naps.
Appliances.
What?
Appliances.
Appliances.
TV. Where I watch TV.
Okay. Under appliances, we're going to say TV. Okay. What else? You want circles?
I said I was going to ask if you were going to switch colors because you forgot to do that last time.
Okay. I don't have time for that.
Okay.
What else? Somebody said something else. What?
Your couches.
Couches. Can that go in living room?
Yes.
Couches. That doesn't look like couches, does it?
Outdated furniture and modern.
Antiques.
Looks like calculus.
It kind of does.
Is that better? Couches. Outdated versus modern.
Antiques.
You say
Outdated
antique, I say
I say all.
versus modern.
Some
Outdated.
antiques are
Outdated
pretty
has a
old.
different connotation. Outdated
Yeah.
makes
Outdated.
me think of drab and worn.
Oh.
Yeah. Antique is like preserved.
You want to
It's
say
still pretty
old,
and stuff.
old and new? Antique versus modern?
That works.
Antique is pretty like.
But not all old things are pretty.
Yeah. Not all
Antique.
antiques are pretty, but
Yeah.
Antique versus
Well
modern.
said. Well done.
Okay. Anything else? What else about furniture? Ethan, you got something to say? You look like you did. Okay, we got couches there.
Does that count as furniture?
bed goes into naps.
Beds.
You know, you try to like refrigerator. What about
Fridge.
different styles?
Styles? Yep. Yeah. Styles. Slide. Styles. Recliners.
I love a
That's its own thing.
Yeah, that had.
Yes.
Recliners.
Rocking chairs.
I-
Porch
I want
furniture.
Rocking chairs.
Outdoor furniture. Outdoors. Yeah. You stole my
Rocking
Hammock.
chairs.
pool furniture.
Okay, wait a minute. Is outdoor, does that go under styles or is it its own thing?
It's its own thing.
Okay, outdoor furniture. All right. Anything else? Got it
I
all?
mean, we could do a lot more.
We're gonna do more, but we have to pick an avenue here. We have to pick an avenue here. So, starting with furniture, that's a big topic. It's not actually what I expected, but I appreciate that. We're starting with furniture and we're gonna narrow it down. Okay, we're gonna narrow it down. Which direction do you want to go for this outline?
Naps. Antique versus modern.
Antique versus modern or naps?
What's more comfortable?
Let's see.
I mean, you could talk about naps in antique and modern.
Yeah, which
Like,
ones are better
Which
for
ones are
naps?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so all right, we're narrowing this down. We're gonna start with okay, so our topic now is antique and modern furniture. That's our topic. That's the topic. Now, a thesis is the topic plus an opinion or the point you're trying to make. All right? A thesis statement is not a topic plus a fact. The fact is not debatable. Well, you would like to think that facts are not debatable. Now, in our day and age in the United States, sometimes people try to debate facts. We're not doing that here. We're not doing that here, okay? Facts are not debatable. Come up with a topic, whatever your topic is, all right? So you need a topic plus the opinion or the point that maybe you're trying to answer a question. Maybe in your mind you've got a question about, you know, which one of these is better, which one is more desirable for whatever. When you answer, this one is more desirable, or this one is better, or this one has a purpose for, you know, whatever it is that you're trying to say, that's your answer. That's what you're trying to prove. Okay. You have a topic, you got to have an opinion, or you're trying to make a point. That's your thesis statement. So let's come up with a quick thesis statement. Come on, guys. We need a thesis statement about antique and modern furniture.
Modern furniture is better than antique.
Okay. Modern furniture is better than antique. Okay? That's our thesis statement. Topic plus opinion. Now we need some points. We're gonna your research paper has got to be, your outline needs to be more detailed than the essay outlines that you created. I hope you used outlines for your essays. Okay, so
Don't worry.
some of you say
I used one for the last
y'all kind of looked away from me when I was like, I hope you use outlines, all of you who are looking around. Let's not make any eye contact here. Let me not give myself away. All right, when you're getting to a research paper, you really need an outline. You need some kind of no, don't say that to me.
I'm just gonna stream of consciousness the whole 6 pages.
Oh my goodness. Have y'all read
9-page rant.
Have y'all read stream of consciousness stuff? Have you ever read anything?
Reading assignment that it was.
Did I?
That sandwich fellow.
What did I talk about? What did I send you?
Yeah,
lunches.
full
lunches.
That was stream of
Oh yeah.
consciousness. That was
A little bit.
You said it was
a
stream
little
of
bit.
consciousness
Yeah.
about last week.
I forget.
Right.
I forget.
I'm
Do you
not-
have
I am
any idea how much?
hallucinating this, right?
Maybe I said it. I don't know. I forget, Leela, because I look through so much stuff every week and send stuff out, and I just forgot that I said that.
Yeah.
I had
It was, I think.
I thought he was writing about.
This stream of consciousness that he
Or was it a girl?
it's well, the exercise was a free writing exercise, so it is stream of consciousness because you just keep your pen moving, you just keep your pencil moving for 5 minutes or whatever it is, and that's what it was, just an exercise that she was doing. And so it was stream of consciousness, but it didn't go on and on and on and on. When I was in college, I had to read this book. It was stream of consciousness, and it was
A book?
That was
Oh,
true
it was
of consciousness.
terrible.
Yes,
That's all.
she's talked about this before, and
Oh,
the
man.
trauma just creeps back into her life. and she's-
it was
she's so
terrible.
excited.
It was so bad. It was so bad. Anyway, I don't want to keep going. I got to get away from that. I might cry just thinking about it. No, I'm just kidding. I won't, but it was bad.
Do you want to seek therapy?
Maybe if you stream
I
of
thought about that
consciousness,
too.
right, it'll make you feel better.
All right, outlines. You got to make an outline. Going without an outline, it may be okay if you're writing a story. I don't do it that way. I need to know where I'm going in my story. I need to know where I'm starting and where I'm ending, and then I can figure out the middle. Okay. Some people can handle just sitting down and starting without it. That's not a good plan for a research paper. No. Your outline is going to help you organize your thoughts. It's going to keep you focused on where you were heading in the first place. It keeps you from trailing off into something that didn't matter or didn't have anything to do with what you were trying to say. An outline will help you piece your research together. It'll help you if you have an outline, you're going to have quotes that you need to put into this. Because of ethos, you need to find somebody who agrees with what you're trying to say, who also believes whatever point you're trying to make. You're going to use quotes from these other people because that's ethos. That's ethos. It's logos to line up your arguments. It's logos to organize your thoughts. It's ethos to add somebody else's voice to it. That's what you're going to do. You're going to find quotes. An outline will help you make sure that you're not missing anything. It's your roadmap, basically. It's your roadmap. It's showing you where you start. It's got a point to the end, okay? And it keeps you on track. It keeps you going the right direction. And we're going to get back to that in just a minute. Okay, I think now is the time. All right, let's get some points about. Let's talk about antique and modern furniture. This looks like a comparison to me. It looks like we're going to compare.
I would agree.
We're going to compare modern versus, and there's some different ways to do that. If you're comparing, you can start with modern, or you can start with antique. So you can start with one or the other, and then you can give your opinion about which one is better at the end. If you're going to compare, you can do it this way, or you can have modern versus antique, and then you give your opinion last. You can compare one part, and then you can compare another part, and then move on. Yeah. Okay, so let's start this way. Let's talk about modern. These are our points, okay? These are our 3 main points. If you want to do more than that, more power to you. More power to you. This is just an example of the way an outline should look. So, what do we think about modern furniture? What comes to mind?
I always think of like really boring things that are all white and beige. Anything
It's
modern
either white
is
or black.
Yeah, anything modern is immediately like
All
boring.
neutral.
Yep. Yeah.
All neutral tones. All neutral tones. So all neutral tones can be, I mean, depending on what you like, it can be a good thing. And right now we're trying to say that modern furniture is better. So for this, we're going to say neutral tones are probably a good thing.
Oh.
For
I
this.
love modern furniture.
Well, we just said modern furniture is better. Do you want to switch it to antique
No,
is better?
That's perfectly fine.
Okay, modern is better. All neutral tones. Why would neutral tones be good?
Because if you're insane, they won't trigger you.
Easy on your eyes.
Okay,
They go with anything.
easy on eyes.
That's good. That's a very good.
Match anything.
That was way less.
Okay,
Yeah, so your whole house is the same color.
they match anything. Neutral tones. They're easy on the eyes. They match anything. What else is good with? What else is good about modern furniture?
Nothing.
It's like there's a lot of it's usually waterproof.
Waterproof.
It's usually plushy.
Waterproof.
New technology.
Okay.
Yeah, they have
Neutral tones. It's usually waterproof. New technology. Maybe fireproof in some.
Have y'all seen those couches that have the speakers like under the cushions?
Yeah, they're really uncomfortable.
They are, bro.
Yeah.
New technology.
I always wanted to try.
Speakers in cushions.
They can be plushy
Plushy.
if you don't get one with the speakers.
I
You
tried.
like put the speakers under the cushions.
What does the word plushy mean?
Soft.
Soft.
Soft and
Pillowy.
cushiony.
No, like a
Cushiony.
teddy bear.
Pillowy. Okay. All right, we have several things, and I mean underneath neutral, you have two things easy on the eyes. They can match everything. Under all of these, you could give some other details, right? I don't know what y'all are doing. Okay, antique. Why is antique? What comes to mind with antique stuff?
Old, drab, boring, rickety, lame.
All right.
I follow your part.
Old, drab, out of style. All right. What else?
Uncomfortable.
Uncomfortable.
Smells like my grandmother's house.
Facts, they always be stinking.
It smells like cigarettes.
Always be stinking.
Bad smells.
My grandma actually smells very pleasant. Thank you.
Mine does not. I'm not good.
All right.
My grandma
Look.
does.
She brought some like decay.
Very chaotic fabric colors.
Okay. Busy patterns. Busy patterns. All right. So, if you are in 9th or 10th grade, your paper needs to be 4 pages. 4 pages. If you are in 11th grade, you did not reclass. 11th grade, are you in 11th grade? Yeah. I thought you were in 10th grade last year. No? You're a homeschooler and you don't know what grade you're in. 10th grade? Okay. 10th grade. Yes. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. 11th. You might be my only 11th grader. Marley, what grade are you in? 9th grade. 4 pages. 6 pages. I don't have any seniors. I don't think. 10th grade.
She's probably not gonna write.
She's not gonna write for me. I don't think. She's writing for college classes right now.
So am I. That doesn't
So-
make me a bum. Just saying.
I'm expecting a paper from you.
I am too.
I'm expecting a paper from you. Okay. So
So you've got a lot of 4 pages.
you could do 4 pages on this. You could do 4 pages on this. You could do 6 pages on this. People have written entire books about furniture. People have written lots and lots and lots of stuff about modern furniture and antique furniture, and you can find lots of information. I'm not expecting any of you to write about this, but your main, I'm gonna say problem here. It's not exactly a problem, but one of your main things that you'll have to do is narrow down. You'll have to narrow your focus, because if you don't, you're gonna wind up writing 6 or 8 or 14 pages, and I might faint. Don't do that to me. Do y'all know how many students I have? I read every word that you send me. Please don't overwhelm me. If you go a little over, that's okay. If you're supposed to write a 4-page paper, don't make it 14. Please don't do that. I know you're disappointed, Colin. Please don't do that. Okay,
What's the maximum number of pages we can write?
we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it. If you get antsy and you feel the need to write a whole lot, we'll talk about it and we'll clear it.
Probably like
Okay.
I can definitively say you will not receive any more than 4 pages.
No, you're in 10th grade. You have to write. Wait, no.
4 pages.
Whoa!
4 pages. Okay, listen, another thing.
How?
Jada, listen guys, we're
I'm listening.
using an MLA format, which means a 12-point font, double spaced. That doesn't mean Times New Roman. That doesn't mean double space does not mean you put 2 spaces between every word or between every sentence. That's not what double spacing means. It means that you set it ahead of time, set your parameters ahead of time, or you highlight what you've written and then go up to the spacing. It has little spacing and you make it 2.0. That spaces everything apart. Okay, it's double spacing, which means I don't know how many words y'all typically write in an essay. I'm going to say 500 words. Okay. If you do that with a 12-point font and double space, that's probably a page and a half. Okay. So a 4-page paper is not a big deal. It's not a big deal.
8 to 900.
All right, just for a second, I need to tell you something. I need to tell you about your reading assignment. Listen, I need to tell you about the reading assignment. I need to tell you what he's talking about.
Sorry.
Okay.
Sorry, I didn't. I don't know.
Get over.
Well,
The 4 fields of knowledge and reflection.
the 4 fields.
4 fields.
Like a basketball.
4 fields of knowledge
Okay.
and reflection.
This is the same guy who wrote about, what was that one that you just didn't like at all? It was, I can't remember the name of it. The levels of being.
Oh, yeah.
You didn't like reading.
That was interesting.
I don't give you stuff that I think is boring. I don't give you stuff that you didn't like his style. You might have to go back and look at it. I don't know. Okay, levels of being. This guy is moving on from the levels of being, and he's talking about the fields of knowledge. Okay. So when he's talking about field number 1, the essay that I'm giving you is about number 3. It's about number 3, but I need to tell you what he's talking about. Field number 1 is knowledge of your inside self, your motivations, your thoughts, your beliefs. You know what you think inside. You know what motivates you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Nobody else can see that, but you have knowledge of what's going on inside of you. Yourself on the outside. What do other people perceive from you? You have no knowledge of what other people perceive of you, right? I think I may have flipped these because this is the one we're talking about, but you'll figure it out. I may have gotten these in the wrong order. You have no knowledge of what other people have going on inside them. I'm giving you the 4 fields, but the one he's talking about is the way that recognizing the way other people perceive you. That's what you're going to read about. You don't know what other people have going on inside them. You don't know their thoughts or their motivations, but we tend to judge ourselves on our motivations, and we judge other people based on the outcome of their actions. We don't give people the benefit of the doubt based on their motivations. What did they intend? What did they mean? Typically, no, we don't give people grace for that when we do give it to ourselves. We know what we intended, so we give ourselves all kinds of room and all kinds of latitude to make mistakes because we had good intentions. And we don't give that to other people. You don't know what's going on inside somebody else's head. You don't have access to that. The last thing is what's going on for other people on the outside, the way you perceive somebody else's outward behavior, their outward appearance, whatever. The only parts of this that you have access to are your inner thoughts, the way you perceive yourself, You don't know what other people perceive you as on the outside. So you have access to your inner thoughts and motivations, and you have access to what you see on the outside of other people. You don't have access to anybody else's inner thoughts about themselves or about you. That's what you're going to read about. Okay. Any questions about that? Okay, be gone with you. Be gone with you. If you have questions, you can email me.
Okay.
Please do that.
What's CBQ?